Everything you dream of begins with one battle, the battle within yourself. Your mind is the battlefield, your habits are the weapons, and self-discipline is the strategy. Stop chasing the world. Start conquering yourself, and watch the world bow to your mastery. Success isn't given. It's claimed one disciplined choice at a time. Self-discipline is not just a skill, it is the foundation of self-mastery. Before you can achieve anything meaningful in life, you must learn to govern your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. Most people spend their lives trying to control circumstances, control opportunities, even control other people, but they fail to realize the most important truth. The person you must learn to control first is the one in the mirror. When you gain mastery over yourself, the world stops being a battlefield and starts becoming a playground for possibilities. Self-discipline begins with awareness. You cannot master what you do not understand. Most people move through life reacting, not choosing, reacting to emotions, distractions, impulses, and moments of weakness. They wake up tired and go back to sleep. They know what they should do, but let their feelings make the decisions. They allow fear to whisper doubts and comfort to whisper excuses. When discipline enters your life, the script changes. Instead of reacting to life, you begin directing it. Instead of letting emotions rule your day, you begin giving your day structure, purpose, and intention. To conquer yourself means to conquer the inner voice that tells you to quit. It means silencing the internal resistance that wants you to remain the same. Every breakthrough you will ever have starts with a battle inside you, your doubt fighting your belief, your fear fighting your potential, your comfort fighting your growth. Self-discipline is the power that decides which side wins. You may not be able to stop fear from showing up, but discipline stops fear from making your decisions. You may not eliminate weakness entirely, but discipline refuses to let weakness lead. When you master yourself, you stop being controlled by temporary emotions. You make decisions rooted in your future, not your mood. Discipline tells you to get up when your feelings tell you to stay down. It tells you to keep going when your mind tries to negotiate for an easier route. It tells you to stay focused when distractions try to steal your attention. This is how champions are built, not through perfection, but through persistence. Not through constant motivation, but through unwavering discipline. Self-discipline also transforms identity. Every time you follow through on a promise you made to yourself, you build trust. You strengthen the belief that you can rely on yourself, and that belief becomes the foundation of a powerful identity. The problem is that many people have trained themselves to break their own promises. They say they'll start tomorrow, they'll change next week, they'll commit soon. But discipline does not speak tomorrow's language. Discipline speaks now. Discipline turns intentions into actions and actions into identity. When identity changes, behavior becomes natural. You no longer force yourself to be disciplined. You simply act like the person you have become. You begin to identify as someone who follows through, someone who finishes what they start, someone who chooses growth over comfort. This shift is what separates high achievers from average people. Average people wait to feel ready. Disciplined people act their way into readiness. They do what has to be done until it becomes who they are. Another layer of self-mastery is emotional control. Discipline teaches you to feel emotions without letting them dictate your direction. You can feel fear but still act courageously. You can feel tired but still work. You can feel uncertain but still move forward. Emotional freedom comes not from ignoring emotions, but from not surrendering to them. A disciplined mind recognizes emotions as visitors, not commanders. They may arrive, but they do not have the authority to take over. Ultimately, self-discipline frees you. Many believe discipline is restrictive, but the opposite is true. Indiscipline is what traps people, trapped in bad habits, trapped in procrastination, trapped in disappointment. Discipline unlocks your ability to design your life intentionally. When you conquer yourself, you conquer the greatest obstacle you will ever face. Every goal becomes more attainable, every challenge becomes more manageable, and every dream becomes more reachable because the strongest, most powerful version of you has taken control. Your habits are the quiet architects of your future, shaping your destiny long before you ever see the results. Most people look at successful individuals and think luck, talent, or opportunity made the difference, but the real difference was created in private, through the disciplined habits those people repeated every single day. Your future is not built in dramatic moments, it is built in the invisible, ordinary decisions you make consistently. The truth is simple but powerful. Your habits are always taking you somewhere, either toward the life you desire or the life you fear. There is no neutral path. Every habit you repeat is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. If you choose habits that align with your purpose, your life gradually starts bending in the direction of your goals. If you choose habits that align with your comfort, your life bends towards stagnation. People often underestimate the power of small behaviors because they seem insignificant. But the small becomes powerful through repetition. Drinking one unhealthy beverage won't change your health, but doing it daily will. Reading a single page won't make you wise, but doing it daily will. Waking up early one morning won't transform your life, but doing it consistently absolutely will. This is why habits matter. They magnify over time, just like interest on money, slowly compounding until the results become undeniable. What you repeat becomes what you believe. If your habits teach you that you're inconsistent, you internalize inconsistency as part of your identity. If your habits teach you that you show up, you internalize confidence, reliability, and self-trust. This is why habits are not just actions, they are identity builders. Every disciplined step you take reinforces a new belief about who you are, and identity always drives behavior. People who struggle with discipline aren't weak, they're simply acting according to the identity they practiced. Change the habits, and the identity slowly shifts. Habits also determine your focus. Your mind becomes shaped by what you repeatedly feed it. If you constantly pour distractions into your mind, social media, noise, negativity, you train your brain to crave stimulation instead of growth. But when you build habits like reading, thinking deeply, planning your day, or practicing gratitude, you train your mind to look for progress, not entertainment. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles and solutions where you once saw problems. Your inner world becomes more organized, more intentional, and more aligned with your goals. And when your inner world becomes structured, your external world begins to reflect that structure. Your habits also govern your energy. Energy is not just physical, it is emotional, mental, and spiritual. The habits you keep determine the quality of your energy. Poor habits drain you. Sleeping late, eating poorly, lack of movement, aimless scrolling. Those habits create a fog around your mind, slowing your momentum and weakening your direction. Strong habits energize you. Waking up early, moving your body, setting intentions, engaging in meaningful work. These habits give you clarity and strength, helping you operate at your highest level. The person with high energy always outperforms the person with high excuses. Another powerful truth about habits is that they create momentum. Success is rarely about big leaps. It's about getting yourself moving and staying in motion. Once you repeat a positive action enough times, it becomes automatic. You no longer fight yourself. You no longer negotiate. You simply do. That momentum becomes a force pushing you further than motivation ever could. Motivation is emotional and inconsistent. Momentum is mechanical and dependable. When good habits are established, they carry you forward even on days when you feel low. Your habits are also a reflection of your standards. People with low standards tolerate behaviors that keep them stuck. People with high standards reject anything that pulls them away from excellence. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with habits you haven't built yet. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your standards. If you want to elevate your standards, elevate your habits. When you truly understand the power of habits, you stop relying on wishful thinking and start relying on daily systems. You realize that your dreams don't need more excitement. They need more consistency. Your goals don't need more emotional hype. They need better routines. The person you want to become is not created in a moment of inspiration. It is created in hundreds of moments of discipline. And when those moments stack, something amazing happens. Your life begins to reflect the greatness you once only imagined. Most people wait for motivation to move them. They wait for the spark, the rush, the excitement. They wait for the perfect morning, the perfect mood, the perfect wave of inspiration that will magically push them into action. But the people who win in life do not rely on motivation. They rely on consistency. They understand that motivation is emotional, inconsistent, and unreliable, while consistency is steady, dependable, and transformational. The truth is, you do not rise to the level of your motivation, you fall to the level of your consistency. Motivation is like a flame. It burns brightly in the moment, but dies as quickly as it came. You can watch a powerful video, hear an inspiring speech, or have a deep conversation that fires you up. But what happens the next morning when you wake up tired or discouraged? What happens when life hits you with unexpected challenges? What happens when the emotional high fades? Most people stop. They quit. They delay. They promise themselves they'll try again when they feel ready. But readiness is a myth. Winners don't wait to feel ready. They act consistently until readiness becomes irrelevant. Consistency is the true engine of progress. It is the discipline to show up again and again, even when the excitement is gone. It's the ability to keep going when the feelings disappear. And ironically, it is consistency, not motivation, that builds momentum. Every time you push through resistance, you strengthen your mental muscles. Every time you show up when it's hard, you prove to yourself that discomfort can't control you. Little by little, your consistent actions compound, creating results that motivation alone could never produce. Consistency also builds credibility with yourself. Motivation can lie to you. It can make you feel unstoppable one moment and defeated the next. But consistency never lies. It gives you evidence. If you worked out today, that is evidence. If you read 10 pages today, that is evidence. If you committed to your routine, that is evidence. Evidence turns into belief. Belief turns into identity. And identity turns into destiny. People fail not because they lack potential, but because they lack the consistency required to activate that potential. When you remove the need for motivation, you remove the biggest barrier that stops people from growing their emotions. Most people think they need to feel good to do good. They think they need energy to take action. But the opposite is true. Action creates energy. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. And action repeated consistently creates transformation. Consistency changes your relationship with hard things. When you do something every day, it stops being difficult. It becomes normal. The first time you wake up early is hard. The 10th time is easier. The 100th time is automatic. The brain adapts to repetition. What was once uncomfortable becomes familiar. What was once overwhelming becomes manageable. What was once impossible becomes routine. This is the hidden power of consistency, the ability to turn giants into habits. Another truth people overlook is that consistency multiplies your results. If you work on your craft once a month, your progress will be slow. If you work on it every day, even for a short time, growth becomes explosive. Small efforts done consistently beat big efforts done occasionally. A person who improves 1% every day becomes almost unrecognizably better within a year. The compounding effect of discipline is more powerful than the temporary push of motivation. Consistency also keeps you connected to your purpose. When you show up daily, you stay aligned with why you started. You stay engaged with the process. You stay grounded in your mission. People who quit easily are the ones who only rely on feelings. People who continue, even after the feelings fade, are the ones who build legacies. The truth is, motivation is a gift. Consistency is a decision. Motivation feels good. Consistency produces good. One is emotional, the other is intentional. One comes from the outside, the other is built from within. And once you choose consistency, something incredible happens. You no longer chase motivation. Motivation begins to chase you. You begin to feel inspired because you're taking action, not the other way around. In the end, the people who achieve anything meaningful are not the ones who felt motivated every day. They are the ones who did the work anyway. They trusted the process. They honored their routines. They showed up when others quit. And because they were consistent, life rewarded them in ways motivation never could. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. Every meaningful transformation you will ever experience begins with discomfort, resistance, and a sense of stretching beyond what feels familiar. People often pray, hope, and dream for a better life. But when discomfort shows up, they retreat. They misunderstand the process. Discomfort is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're evolving. It is the evidence that you're stepping outside the limits of your old self and building the capacity of your new one. Every time you decide to elevate your life, the first thing you encounter is friction. Friction from your mind, which prefers what is known. Friction from your emotions, which seek safety. Friction from your habits, which resist change. The human mind is wired to protect you from the unknown, even when the unknown is exactly where your greatness is waiting. That's why discipline becomes essential. Discipline is what allows you to walk through discomfort instead of running from it. It teaches you that the pain of growth is temporary, but the pain of staying the same lasts forever. Discomfort is the birthplace of strength. Think about the process of building muscle. Resistance tears the muscle fibers so they can grow back stronger. Without resistance, there is no growth. The same applies to your mind, your habits, your character, and your life. The challenges that stretch you are the very things that shape you. When life pushes against you, it's not trying to break you, it's trying to build you. But most people don't see it that way. They avoid the workout because it burns. They avoid the hard conversation because it's awkward. They avoid the new skill because it's frustrating. They avoid the new routine because it's unfamiliar. Every avoidance protects their comfort, but delays their progress. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They are the ones who accept it as part of the journey. They understand that every level of life demands a new version of you. The habits that got you here will not take you to the next stage. The mindset that produced your current results will not produce better ones. Growth requires shedding old layers, and shedding is never comfortable. But it is always necessary. Discomfort also reveals your limits, not to shame you, but to help you surpass them. You cannot expand a boundary you have never met. When something feels hard, that is your boundary speaking. It's telling you where your current level ends. Discipline allows you to stand at that boundary and push it forward. Without discomfort, you would never know how powerful you truly are. You would never discover your ability to endure, adapt, focus, and rise under pressure. And here is the truth most people ignore: discomfort builds confidence. Confidence does not come from ease. It comes from surviving difficult things. Every time you push through a challenge, you gather evidence that you are capable. You prove to yourself that you can handle resistance. That proof becomes inner strength, and inner strength becomes unshakable confidence. People who never leave their comfort zones remain insecure because they never see themselves handle anything hard. They don't know what they're capable of because they never tested themselves. Discomfort also refines your focus. When things are easy, your mind becomes lazy. When things get hard, your awareness sharpens. You start paying attention. You start prioritizing. You start eliminating distractions. Hard moments force you to become intentional, and intention is a powerful tool for transformation. The uncomfortable seasons of your life teach you discipline, clarity, patience, and perseverance. Qualities comfortable seasons will never teach you. Growth requires discomfort because growth requires change, and change requires letting go. Letting go of old habits, old beliefs, old identities, and old excuses. That process feels like loss, but it's actually gain. You are not losing who you are. You are shedding who you no longer need to be. Eventually, discomfort turns into strength. What once felt heavy becomes manageable. What once intimidated you becomes normal. What once scared you becomes a skill you can perform with ease. This is the reward for embracing discomfort. You evolve into a version of yourself you once didn't believe was possible. The people who achieve greatness are not more talented. They are more willing to endure discomfort. They walk through the fire until the fire stops burning them and starts refining them. They understand that the pain of growth is the price of transformation, and that price is always worth paying. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes a brick in the foundation of your identity, and every promise you break becomes a crack in that foundation. Discipline is not just about doing tasks or following routines. It is about shaping who you believe you are. Identity is the most powerful force in human behavior. People do not act according to what they want. They act according to who they think they are. When you develop discipline, you are not just improving your habits. You are redefining your identity into someone strong, capable, reliable, and unstoppable. The challenge many people face is that they want a new life while holding on to an old identity. They want success but still see themselves as inconsistent. They want discipline but identify as someone who tries. They want transformation but still carry the self-image of someone who quits. Identity power is created the moment your actions begin to match the person you want to become. When you repeatedly show up for yourself, even in small ways, your mind starts to shift. You stop saying, "I wish I were disciplined," and start saying, "I am disciplined." That shift changes everything. Every time you follow through, your brain stores that moment as evidence. Evidence that you can be trusted. Evidence that you honor your word. Evidence that you don't give in to excuses. That evidence builds confidence far more deeply than compliments or motivation ever could. External praise fades quickly, but internal proof lasts a lifetime. When you become someone who keeps their own promises, you walk differently, speak differently, and face challenges differently because you know you can rely on yourself. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who trust themselves to rise every time. Identity power also determines your standards. Your life is a reflection of what you believe you deserve, and what you believe you deserve is shaped by who you think you are. Someone with a weak identity accepts weak habits. Someone with a strong identity rejects anything that doesn't align with their highest self. When you decide, I am someone who doesn't quit, quitting becomes unnatural. When you decide, I am someone who respects my body, unhealthy habits feel like a violation. When you decide, I am someone who finishes what I start, procrastination loses its grip. Discipline raises your standards automatically because it raises your identity. The reason many people struggle to change is because they try to force new habits without changing the identity behind them. They say, I'll try to wake up early, but deep down, they still believe they are someone who sleeps late. They say, I'll try to work out, but internally they still see themselves as someone who avoids discomfort. Without identity alignment, new habits feel unnatural and exhausting. With identity alignment, new habits become a natural expression of who you are. The power of identity is that it creates momentum. Once you see yourself as disciplined, you begin acting like a disciplined person without needing motivation. Your behaviors follow your beliefs. Your choices follow your character. You stop using willpower and start using identity power, which is far stronger and far more sustainable. Willpower drains, identity renews. Willpower fights with your feelings. Identity reshapes your feelings. Willpower says, I have to. Identity says, this is who I am, die. Identity power also protects you from setbacks. When you have a strong, disciplined identity, a bad day doesn't turn into a bad week. A mistake doesn't turn into a cycle. A moment of weakness doesn't turn into self-sabotage. Instead of thinking, I messed up again, you think, this is not who I am, and you get back on track quickly. People with weak identities spiral. People with strong identities recover. And the ability to recover is one of the greatest advantages you can have in life. The most profound transformation happens when discipline becomes a part of your identity, not a task on your to-do list. When you say no to distractions, it's not because you're forcing yourself. It's because it doesn't match your identity anymore. When you choose growth over comfort, it's because comfort no longer aligns with the person you're becoming. When you keep showing up, it's because showing up is who you are. This is identity power, the invisible force that shapes your destiny. When you build discipline into your identity, you don't just change your habits. You change your life from the inside out. You become a person who creates results, fulfills goals, and transforms dreams into reality, not by accident, but by alignment. When you master yourself, you unlock the ability to master everything around you. Most people spend their lives chasing external solutions, looking for better opportunities, waiting for the right timing, or depending on other people to change. But the truth is that the greatest power you will ever possess is the power over your own choices, your own emotions, and your own habits. Life does not bend to those who are lucky or talented alone. It bends to those who are consistent, disciplined, and in control of themselves. Self-mastery is the cornerstone of success, and without it, everything else is built on sand. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You must first recognize the patterns that govern your life, the impulses that dictate your actions, and the excuses that limit your potential. Most people live unconsciously, letting moods, circumstances, and other people make decisions for them. They react rather than act, drift rather than direct. When you practice self-mastery, you choose your responses. You do not allow anger, fear, or distraction to take the wheel. You observe your thoughts and emotions, acknowledge them, and then act according to your values and your goals. This is the first step in turning chaos into clarity, confusion into direction, and potential into achievement. Once you gain control over yourself, your ability to influence the world multiplies. People often underestimate the power of a disciplined mind. They believe external forces hold the greatest sway, but the reality is that external events only have power when you give it to them. The person who masters themselves is no longer at the mercy of circumstances. A difficult situation may arise, but they respond instead of reacting. A person may insult or challenge them, but they maintain composure and clarity. In essence, self-mastery turns obstacles into opportunities, pressure into growth, and resistance into momentum. Mastering yourself also strengthens your decision-making. When you are ruled by impulses, procrastination, or emotion, every decision becomes a gamble. You may start the day with good intentions, but end it with regret, because your choices were inconsistent with your goals. Self-mastery ensures that your actions align with your long-term vision. It trains you to delay gratification, resist temptations, and stay focused on what truly matters. Over time, this alignment between thought, action, and purpose creates unstoppable momentum. You no longer waste energy on distractions or regrets. You invest energy in what moves you closer to your destiny. Another vital aspect of self-mastery is emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. Without control over your inner world, every challenge can feel devastating. But when you master yourself, emotions become tools rather than obstacles. You can feel disappointment without letting it define you. You can experience fear without letting it paralyze you. You can confront uncertainty without losing confidence. Emotional control is not suppression, it is regulation. It is the ability to experience life fully while remaining steady, focused, and unshakable. This steadiness becomes a source of power, enabling you to think clearly, act decisively, and persist relentlessly. Self-mastery also allows you to harness time and energy effectively. The person who cannot control themselves often squanders opportunities through distraction, procrastination, or poor habits. The one who masters themselves structures their day, prioritizes their actions, and protects their energy. They invest time in growth, learning, and building what truly matters. By controlling what they can, their habits, their focus, their responses, they create an environment where success is inevitable. They are no longer tossed about by life, they steer it. Finally, self-mastery gives you freedom. It frees you from dependence on external validation, temporary feelings, and unpredictable circumstances. It gives you authority over your life because you are no longer a victim of your impulses or surroundings. You act with purpose, live with intention, and pursue your goals with relentless focus. And the greatest truth is that once you have mastered yourself, the external world becomes far less intimidating. Challenges no longer overwhelm you, failure no longer defines you, and uncertainty no longer paralyzes you. Mastery over yourself translates into mastery over your life, your work, and ultimately your destiny. Self-mastery is not a destination. It is a daily practice, a continuous commitment to growth, discipline, and awareness. But the reward is unmatched clarity in decisions, resilience in adversity, focus in distraction, and power in action. When you control yourself, you control your world. When you control your world, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Mastery over self is the ultimate key to living intentionally, achieving relentlessly, and fulfilling your highest potential. Master yourself, and no obstacle outside can ever defeat you. Discipline today builds the unstoppable person you will become tomorrow. Conquer your inner world, and you unlock every door the world has ever closed. Self-mastery is the ultimate key. Turn it, and everything you desire becomes